So I'm here in Valley Thicket in the Botanical Reserve at Addo Elephant National Park, and I want to chat about something that Dr. Nicholas Galuszynski has recently pointed out. He gave a wonderful talk about it recently, which is the spekboom, Portulacaria afra, and how it grows. And it's something that I've seen often, but I never really took cognizance of. So here we've got seedlings. Firstly, you can tell they're seedlings because they've got this slightly purplish tinge to them. You see there's a purple tinge there. Let's go have a look at some older spekboom. Really green leaves, super lush and green. So very different. And here there are a bunch of seedlings that have come out. But what Nick has found is that as soon as they pop out the ground, they grow straight up and then they do a 90-degree. And this is not from herbivory. This is naturally how the seedlings want to grow. They want to grow along the ground and start creating shade on the ground, start trapping moisture, because if there's shade and there's water running here, they'll trap both soil and a little bit of water and start shading the ground. And so there's a small seedling, and this is the structure. Look at this. It's creeping out along the ground, and it's underneath. It's changing the soil microclimate. When it rains, that little bit of soil underneath there is going to stay wetter for a little bit longer, and then as it gets thicker and thicker, this is all really close along the ground here, and it's changing the microclimate. So I've in previous videos I've spoken about how the large clumps do it, but this is it trying to do it already from a seedling level. Here's a seedling here. It looks like it's been browsed on over there, but it's also trying to do that. So this is a Capris, and it's nasty. It's got thorns all over it, and this thing should be trying to use it as a nurse plant and grow up through the nurse plant, which has got lots of thorns on it, but it's not. It's rather trying to grow sideways and grow along the ground here. And this is actually the morphology of it. So in its early phase, this is how the ecosystem engineering properties start kicking in. And something that's pretty unique to spekboom is that it plays this kind of weird, so it's a succulent plant, cam succulent, but it plays this weird game of being able to creep along the ground, so it can change microclimates. It can change the way the water interacts with this landscape, how dust interacts. If dust falls in there, water falls in there, it kind of traps it, changes from an open system, water, dust here wash away, so it changes from an open system to a closed system. But what's unique about spekboom is that it plays that game, but it can also play the light harvesting game. So it can grow like a tree. So here it is. I'm looking at, this is 1.8 meters, and it's already growing high, so that's up to about 2 meters up there. So here it's competing with the other canopy dominant trees. We've got Scotia afra over there, Euclea undulata. Here's this Capris again, tomentosa, nasty thing. So it's playing this tree game, but if we look at the base, it's doing the skirting thing. It does both, which is bizarre. So it can play this game of just really changing the understory there. And if we go and look here, and I've done this in many different videos, usually I've got gloves on, but here is your leaf litter. Yeah, there's leaf litter that's been trapped in there. Not as thick as it usually can get to, but it's very, I've seen it in very thick layers. Anyway, I just wanted to point out that this weird growth form that seedlings do, that just got, Nicholas Galuszynski calls them octopus seedlings, because they come out and then they suddenly grow They grow flat along the ground. They grow these arms out. And I always thought that it had to do with herbivory, but he's gone and shown that it happens, and it happens really well. And they look like real kind of octopus arms in areas that don't have any herbivory at all. So super fascinating. You can see, here's really this kind of skirt and creeping underneath there of spekboom. There it is, like really growing along. And so it invests growing sideways first, and then when it's big enough, it'll then shoot up and start playing that game. Anyway, I just wanted to share those interesting thoughts about spekboom in the early phase of growth, and some money shots of thicket. Wonderful dense dwarf forests of the Eastern Cape, very, very much undervalued. Tourists don't really like it because when they come here they don't see many animals because it's so dense, so they like to come to the open degraded lands. But this is just such an amazing ecosystem, really ancient and really needs to be appreciated more. Unfortunately, it doesn't give us much benefit in terms of cash in the back pocket, so it's really treated almost as a nuisance vegetation type, and yet it's a dwarf forest. Hopefully we can learn to appreciate it more and understand how resilient this dwarf forest is to climate change, because it's seen it all. Alrighty, cool. Last shots of the spekboom seedlings. Hope you enjoyed the vid. Alistair out.